Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be filming a story time video. I'm really obsessed with them. I think they're really interesting to watch and just really funny, and I have a lot of stories to tell. Just like or comment if you want me to do more of these. If you don't though, I understand. So this took place literally yesterday. Little backside to the story before we begin. My best friend Isabel started to talk to this guy for probably about 2 weeks. And his name was Nick. We're gonna give them fake names, by the way, so the kid that she was talking to, we're just gonna call him Nick. When she asked him to hang out, she wanted me to come with her, and then we were gonna ask her boy Nick to bring his friend. It's kind of just like 4 friends hanging out, and it's not really awkward or anything. So they finally make plans or whatever, and we have plans to go to this like sort of city area where there's like a movie theater and a couple of shops and a lot of restaurants called City Place. And we made plans for them to pick us up from my house at 6 p.m. So Isabel came over at around 5 and we texted Nick and we said, hey, are we still on for tonight? Are you still gonna pick us up? And he said, yeah, I'll be there at 7. So we were like, okay, you said 6 at first, but 7's fine, I guess. So now we had like a whole nother hour to kill. I also got like 2 pints of Ben & Jerry's ice cream. So we were like, okay, let's just like eat the ice cream and chill until he comes. So we were just eating the ice cream or whatever, and Nick texted her and said, hey, sorry, I'm gonna be like 20 minutes late. We had to stop for gas and you live really far. So about every 10 minutes, he kept saying, I'm gonna be 10 minutes late, I'm gonna be 10 minutes late. So it was probably around like 7:45 when he finally texted us that he was at the gate. So by now, Isabel was like not having good feelings about this. She was just kind of panicking and saying like, I just don't have a good feeling. Like, she doesn't really know these kids. I obviously don't know these kids. She's just starting to feel really uncomfortable with the whole situation, and deep down I kind of was too. So finally they get to our house and we walk outside, and the kid who's driving, he had a really weird name in like real life, but obviously for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna give him a fake name. So we're gonna call him Nolan. So we walk over to Nolan's car, and for some reason, right when I opened the door, I started to kind of have a panic attack also. I was just having a really bad feeling that these kids were, like, something bad was just gonna happen this night, and Isabel was obviously feeling the same way. We get into the car and they're just kind of making small talk with us, nothing really serious, but the whole time me and Isabel are texting like, I feel like I'm gonna throw up all the ice cream we ate. Like, we were having like full-on panic attacks. I would say probably after about 5 minutes of being in the car, we came up to a stoplight and Nick reached over in the back seat and pulled out a bag. And in that bag was alcohol. It was like Jack Daniels or something, and he started to drink it. And I didn't really care, because if you want to drink alcohol, that's fine. Just don't offer me any, because I'm not into it. And I also was a little bit nervous that he had it in the car, because if we got pulled over, we would obviously all get in trouble for that, but we kind of kept quiet and didn't really say anything. We did speak up, however, when the driver grabbed the bottle. Nolan rips the bottle out of Nick's hands and starts chugging it. Keep in mind, he's the driver. He's driving us, and he is literally drinking the alcohol bottle right in front of our faces while we're in the car driving. I asked him, you're not about to drink and drive, are you? Because if you are, you can drop us off right here. We're not going to be in the car with you if you're going to be drinking and driving. So I guess Nick kind of felt awkward that Nolan was drinking and driving. So Nick is like, yeah, it's not a good idea. And he took the bottle out of Nolan's hand, and Nolan sat there for 5 minutes straight trying to convince us that he was the best drunk driver ever. This kid's like 16 too, and he's like,
oh no, don't worry, I'm the best drunk driver. I've been in so many situations. I'm so good at drunk driving, like, you guys can definitely trust me. Like, I've driven on the highway drunk, you know, I drive drunk all the time.
By now I was like, okay, this is gonna be probably one of the worst nights of my life. This kid is, I don't trust him at all. Finally, they're like, so where do you guys even want to go? And we were like, didn't we have plans to go to City Place? and they were literally sitting there like,
oh, we hate going to city places on Friday. It's so boring there. It's just gonna be so crowded. There's nothing to do. We hate city place.
I was still feeling uncomfortable with these guys, and I really wanted to go somewhere where I knew, where I was familiar with, and that was close by. So I kept giving them options, and they were saying, no, 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 that's too far south. That's too far south. It has to be closer to where we live. And the only place that I knew where they lived was City Place, and I was familiar with that area. Finally, we convinced them to go to City Place, and we get there and we pull into a parking garage. So when we park, obviously I'm gonna go ahead and open the door and get out. So I put my hand on the door and Nolan goes, no, 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 wait. He has to do something really quick. Not only that, but I did try to pull open the door and it was locked. So he locked us in the car anyway. After he said that, we got the whiff of marijuana. And I was just like, no surprise here, like these kids are drinking and driving. I guess that they could tell that me and Isabel were kind of like, what are they doing? Like, we're not trying to smell, we're not trying to get like a contact high, like we don't do any of that. So we were kind of uncomfortable with it, and Nick turned around and he goes, no, don't worry, these are dabs, like you won't smell from it, it's in a pen. Of course they ask us if we want any and we deny it, and we're just like, no, we're okay. And then they're like, have you guys ever smoked before? So me and Isabel were just both like, no, not really. After we say that we're not into it and we've never done it before, Nolan looks at us with the most shocked face in the world. He's like, and then he goes,
you've never smoked before? You've never tried it? You guys aren't even living life the right way.
He sits there for probably 10 minutes telling us that if we never try it, we're not living life, or if we don't do it, our lives must be really boring and just not fun. Basically telling us if we don't smoke weed, our lives aren't worth living. Isabel was really pissed off at this point. She was like, I don't have to smoke weed to have a good time. I don't want to try it. You know, because he was like really trying to convince us that smoking weed is amazing and we need it in our lives, or we're just not gonna enjoy it. It's starting to get even more awkward because you could tell that Isabel was kind of giving Nolan some attitude, so everybody was just a little uneasy. But anyway, we finally get out of the car and these boys are walking 10 feet ahead of us. I'm sorry, is that normal? Like, do boys walk ahead? Do you walk 10 feet ahead of your friends and then turn around occasionally like, oh, you're still here? Okay. Like, it was just so rude because we felt uncomfortable already, and the fact that they were just kind of leaving us in the dust made it even worse. Anyway, they decide to go to like this little pizza place, and it's not really a restaurant where you sit down and eat your food. Like, you can just go up to the counter and order, and then you kind of pick a place to sit. Nick and Nolan opened the door first, and you know, you would have thought that they would hold the door open for us. So Isabel started to walk on in, and the door slams in her face. The door hits Isabel in the face. It didn't really hit her too hard just because she kind of had her hands up to stop it, but it still like slammed her. We went up to this Nolan character and we were like, the door just slammed in Isabel's face. Honestly, you're gonna just be okay with that? He goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even see you guys there. Like, he completely denies it and acts like he didn't even see us there. By now, me and Isabel were done with Nolan. We weren't really that hungry and they were kind of ordering their food and we were just awkwardly standing there, so I was like, okay, let's just get waters or something. And I'm just gonna throw this in here just because it's another thing that pissed me off that night and it's just kind of funny. You know those refrigerators? It's kind of like a refrigerator, but it has the clear window or whatever, and you just open it and grab what you want and then pay for it. So this 40-year-old man was standing against the refrigerator with his hand on the door talking to a woman. So I turned around and I said, excuse me, and the woman politely moved over, but the man stayed there with his arm on the refrigerator. And he goes,
oh, so now you want me to open it?
So I was just kind of like, okay. And then I grabbed the handle, and I'm not the strongest girl, you know, like I kind of lift, but I don't lift that much. So I'm kind of pulling the door and it's not really opening, so I probably struggled for about 2 seconds, and this guy, this 40-year-old man goes,
oh, and you can't even open it.
what? Like, why are you still talking to me? Why are you still next to me? I just kind of give him like a look, and he's giving me the dirtiest look. So I was just like, oh my God. But anyway, we get our waters, and then once again, it's the 4 friends, and me, Nick, Nolan, and Isabel are all standing there super awkwardly because Nolan's still waiting for his food, but we all have our stuff, and we're just kind of standing there like, oh, so what should we do now? But Nick is like, well, we can go sit outside. So we go outside. Once again, he didn't hold the door for us. I don't know, like, do teenage boys not do that anymore? Like, I just thought it was a little disrespectful because as far as I'm concerned, boys were supposed to hold the door for girls, or it's just nice in general to hold the door open for people. Nolan comes out and slams his greasy pizza down and opens up the box and just starts chomping into it, and then he starts talking, so all of his grease is like spitting everywhere, and it's so disgusting. So Nick continued to try to like talk to us and ask us questions like if we play any sports or do we like school, things like that, and the whole time Nolan kept cutting him off and spitting everywhere with his nasty pizza greasy mouth, and he goes,
guys, I have to tell you about the most amazing trip to like Dominican Republic, about my crazy party stories. I went with college kids, and like, it's just so amazing.
He's sitting here for probably, I'm gonna go with 15 minutes. You think 15 minutes? About 15 minutes talking about his crazy parties in Dominican Republic with the college kids, showing us videos on his phone, like spitting his pizza grease everywhere. We're like, okay, sounds awesome, but we don't care that much. After a while, I guess he gets the vibe that we're not really feeling these Dominican Republic party stories anymore. So he starts to kind of ask Nick and Isabel questions. At first, he kind of just asks normal things like, oh, so how did you guys meet? And they met from tennis districts, just in case anybody's wondering. That's how Nick and Isabel met. And then Nolan kept kind of like asking weird questions.
So, are you guys like talking?
It was kind of starting to get a little bit awkward. So then Nolan goes,
so have you guys like ever hooked up or anything? Like, have you guys ever done anything yet? Like, come on, tell me all the details. Like, what's the dirtiest thing you guys have done?
It got into like a really, really weird conversation. Obviously, me and Isabel were now like literally giving him a really dirty look, and Nick was so uncomfortable. He looks at Nolan and goes, this is a conversation for later, okay? We're not talking about this now. So Nolan's like, okay, fine. You guys are so lame. You guys don't talk about anything. Like, this is a really lame night. So then he just keeps going on about how lame we are and how lame the night is and how he like wasted his gas to come pick us up. We were kind of like, you know what, Nolan? Same here. You're an ass and we're having a really awful night too. You did waste your gas bringing us down here. We don't want to be here. Like, maybe this night wouldn't have been so bad if you didn't drink and drive like 5 minutes after we got into the car. So now things were just like extremely awkward, and we were all in a bad mood, like kind of just like roasting on each other, I guess. You know, Nolan was saying how lame we were, and we were saying how rude he was. So we were kind of like getting into a fight, and Nick was just like, oh my God. I felt so bad for him. He was sitting there like this, like shaking his head and just looking at Nolan like, why? Why are you doing this to me? After that, Nolan jumps up and he's like, you know what, whatever. Nick, let's go back to your house. Let's drink, let's party, let's go back to your house or whatever.
You girls can come if you want, but like, honestly, we're leaving right now, so you better make a decision right now.
After Nolan said that, he walks across the street and is kind of waiting there for Nick to come with him, I guess. So Nick was saying,
oh, you guys can come back to my house. We're probably just gonna drink, but like, we're not gonna be doing anything too different. We're just kind of gonna be sitting there and talking. Like, I really want you guys to come, but I don't know, it's completely up to you.
All this while, me and Isabel are trying to figure out what to do. Nolan's screaming at Nick from across the street. He's going, come on, we have to go now. I don't want to stay around and wait for these girls all night. He said another word, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it on here. So he just basically said, I'm not going to be waiting for these BITCHs. And it was so rude because there was so much people around and he's screaming this and everybody's kind of like looking at us like, whoa, like teenage date gone wrong, you know? Like it was super, super embarrassing. But by now me and Isabel were like, you know what, we don't want to go. We really don't like him. It's not worth it. Nick and Nolan don't even say, oh yeah, we'll wait for you guys. Your ride's only going to be like 30 minutes away. Don't worry, we'll wait with you guys. Instead, they're just like, all right, bye, and they walk away. So Nolan doesn't even say goodbye, actually, but Nick is kind of like, I'm really sorry about this night. I know it was really awful. Bye, and he hugs us both, and then that's it. Now me and Isabel are kind of left to fend for ourselves, and we just kind of walk around and, you know, sit at a Starbucks, and we're just thinking this was the worst night ever. I think we learned our lesson to never go out with kids that we really don't know. Obviously, Isabel did know this kid Nick, but she didn't know him too well. We both didn't know Nolan at all. I never want to see that kid again, neither does Isabel. So that was the end of my story. I know it's not really the craziest story, but it was just kind of a funny, awful date in my opinion. So, like I said before, leave a like or a comment if you guys want me to do more of these videos. I have so many story times I could tell you guys basically on any topic. So just comment below what you guys want to see next and I will definitely make that for you. Bye!